Howdy folks. All right, this week's installment with G4 Journeys, we are going to be doing an upgrade to Grace. We have a Denali Soundbomb Split Horn upgrade that we'll be installing. For those of you who follow the channel, you'll know that we had a Springfield that had a Buffalo horn, an aftermarket horn on it that I loved, a big trumpet. Was quite loud, really got attention when you were out on the road when you needed it. And the OEM horn that comes with any bike, I don't care what it is, it's just, well, quite frankly, they're just not acceptable. They're not loud enough. They're not going to get anybody's attention other than maybe a pedestrian that would be crossing in front of you. But when you've got a car at freeway speeds that's about to turn into your lane, you need something that's going to get their attention and make them stop and think. And so we're going to be installing this Denali Soundbomb Split. It will be a custom install. We're going to start with a walkthrough of what came in the box. Okay, so I'm not going to do an unboxing video per se, but we did open everything up. We've got the hose that will go from the compressor to the horn itself. We've got some mounting hardware, nuts and bolts. We have a relay. Here is the compressor. Here is the horn itself. The only reason this is a split is because these two pieces are separate as opposed to just one piece. And that's because there isn't a good location on the Pursuit to install the one-piece system. We've got a couple brackets that we're going to likely need, some zip ties, and wiring harness. And I want to throw out a special shout out to Alex at Denali Electronics. He got on the phone with me. We talked through the bike that I have, what I was looking to do, and he put everything together for me here in one nice order that I was able to just basically put in some payment details on the website, and they made it super easy. So with that, just know, if you didn't already pick up on it, this is not a sponsored video. Denali did not send me this at no charge or give this to me in any way, shape, or form. Paid for this with our own money, and we'll be installing, and we'll do a before and after video as well so that you can hear the difference. All right, we have relocated out into the garage for our Denali Soundbomb update. As promised, we're going to do a before. So this is the stock horn. I'm in a garage, it's enclosed. It sounds louder than it really is. We might try that again. I'll see if I can find a little decibel meter or something that'll give us an idea as to the volume that we're getting. But I promise you, you will not be standing in the garage with the doors closed and hit the horn after the sound bomb is installed. Okay, in terms of the layout, the compressor is gonna go under this cover here, and then we'll be able to replace that cover. So the compressor will be completely hidden. And then the wiring and the air hose will go up underneath the tank here. We'll use the zip ties to secure it properly. And then our horn itself is going to be mounted somewhere over here, possibly leveraging this radiator fan assembly as a mounting point. But we'll see once we get into it. Right, this cover should be pretty easy to take off. We've got 1, 2, 3 hex head bolts that will come out. Okay, also not a paid endorsement, and I bought these products myself as well, but a quick call out to Clutch. I got this ratchet driver and the assorted hex bolt sets, and I think this may be, from a maintenance perspective, the single best purchase I've made for my Indian motorcycles. So the cover is off, 3 bolts as I mentioned, and that was leveraging a 5mm. You can see that. Try to get it to focus for us. There we go, 5mm hex head. And this is where that cover was, right here. So you can see there's really nothing there, so it's a perfect place to mount this. It's too bad there wasn't just a little more space there. We maybe could have gotten the single piece sound bomb and put it all right there, but that is not to be. When I spoke to Alex at Denali Electronics, he mentioned that pretty much everything about the install was custom, and he actually went back into the shop and talked to a couple of the guys that had done a video on installing the system on a Challenger, which is the same basic frame as the Pursuit. So it will indeed be custom. You can see there are no holes here on this piece here, this piece here. In order to mount this to, maybe we could do something leveraging that, although honestly I doubt it. So I think what we're going to do is we'll double check the clearances, but we'll probably punch a hole in this plate, perhaps right about here. Another option would be to go into this plate or this plate here to create a mounting point for the compressor. Okay, so we just added this mounting hole, measured over end to end, roughly centered the hole location, which is going to give us good spacing to be able to run the wires and easy accessibility, and we'll still have plenty of clearance front to back with that cap. So it's always a little nerve-wracking, but measure twice, drill once. Use the hydraulic punch to get that started. Okay, so this uses a 1/2 inch socket. That's nice and tight. It's centered, very sturdy. also roughly plumb. It's okay for that to be off a little bit. We still have room here to run the hose to the sound bomb. Will come up from underneath. I'm going to loop it around up through so we don't have any sharp bends in it, and across to the other side where we'll be mounting the horn itself. Okay, progress update. So you can see that's bolted in. The air hose connects to the compressor right here on this side. I have the hose running down, kind of just in a gentle sweeping arc, up here, up above the cylinder head. So it's not actually going to make contact with anything too hot that will melt it. And then I added 2 zip ties, one here and here, just to help make sure that that hose, there's a little bit of slack right now. I wouldn't want it to get loose and drop down and melt itself on the cylinders or anything like that. I'm not sure that that's really a risk, but just to be doubly safe. And so that's what that looks like. We will reinstall that cover. Hey, this is what it looks like with that cover reinstalled. You just see right here, that's our compressor hose. You'll never even know that's there. So far, so good. Okay, we've relocated to the other side of the bike. Our air hose is coming right there. And I think I like the idea of mounting this right here. And they sent me a metal bracket, and in theory, if I bent it around, I could probably use this radiator fan hole and nut, or bolt. But I think I'm actually going to get some automotive, probably 3M or similar, adhesive tape, and we're just going to mount this right up here. And that kind of naturally forces, we might have a little bit of zip tie work to do to keep that air hose away from the cylinder head, but it would be then aiming the sound down and left, which is probably okay and might be the easiest way to do this. Another option could be potentially here, but I don't think I want to cover up those vents. So I think I'm going to go up here. It's out of the way. I'm not going to hit it with my foot. Plenty of room between the shift lever and where the horn is, and I think it's going to be loud enough that that's going to be fine, and it'll be more than audible from both sides of the bike. So that is my current plan. All right, we are back, and we've got some super strength molding tape. So we're going to go ahead and use that to mount the horn, and we may also see if there's a spot where we could do an extra zip tie just to make sure it's doubly secure. Hey, those of you who watched me install those bag lights know that proper preparation makes all the difference in terms of longevity of your installation. So we've got some isopropyl alcohol and a makeup remover from my wife's side of the bathroom. Thank you, baby. And Grace thanks you for your contribution to her betterment. And this is why we do it. That was from the plastic molding there, from the plastic on the horn, so they're nice and clean now. We're just going to let that dry thoroughly, and then we'll go ahead and apply tape. Okay, so as we were looking at putting this on, remember I thought I was going to install it right here, and I realized I have enough air hose, and it's out of the way, that I could mount it this way. And the advantage there is now we are directing those air holes where all of the sound is going to come out forward, and is fine, because I still can mostly close off that vent there if I need to, but otherwise when that's wide open, that sound is all going to go straight forward. And I can always move this if I want to. It's just automotive tape, adhesive tape, that'll come off no problem, and we can always adjust if we want. But I got on the bike, plenty of room here between the shift lever. That's not in the way at all. Okay, we are ready to get into the wiring, which is the most fun of any project. We did the install, everything is mounted, we have the compressor mounted, we have the horn mounted. Here under section 2 talks about wiring and recommending another kit, which Alex was kind enough to include. So we have what we need. The size of the compressor and the voltage that it needs, we're going to have to take this out to get at the battery, because the wiring needs a direct connect to the battery. So that will be the next step. It looks as if it's just two of those hex bolts that need to come out. 2 bolts as suspected, 6mm hex head, 3 tabs at the bottom. So when you take these 2 bolts, the top side, which is this part here, just kind of folds down a little bit, and then you just lift it straight out, and those tabs are not connected, other than acting as a bit of a hinge. And here is the inside of the battery compartment. If we want to pull the battery out all together, it looks like one more hex head there. We found the OEM horn. This is the trumpet for it right here. So it is front and center under the headlight. And that means I have looked around and I just can't get to the wiring that we need to access. So we're gonna have to take this outer fairing off. And looked around, it doesn't look too bad. Inside of on each side here, we're going to have to pop this out, grab the rubber seal, and you just pull. So that came out no problem. And just make sure, what else do we have inside of here? I had a little bag in there, but that was just some of my stuff. Got my earplug holder. And then it is, the last remaining item in there is just the USB cable. That's going to take 2 hands, but there's a slot on the back. We'll just pull that through. We have to do the same thing on this side. Then we're going to have to pry our speaker covers off. That doesn't look like that'll be too hard, but we're going to use plastic to do that. So we'll pull these out on both sides, pull these off on both sides, and that will give us access to some screws. And then this bezel here will come out. We'll pry that out from the top down. You can actually see that looks like that's going to come out actually fairly easily. And there'll be 3 more bolts in here. Then there's 3 wiring harnesses. 2 on the clutch side, 1 on the brake side, up under here that we will disconnect. And that will then allow us to pull the fairing, the external fairing, straight off. That's going to give us access to that horn, the OEM horn, and the wiring there. So without further ado, those are my next steps. Relatively harmless process. So we've got a screw here. We've got another one up here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, both sides. And then this plastic shroud popped off quite easily. Looks like we've got 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So 3 in the front. And then there's going to be another one. Well, we're going to have to look for it a little bit. Somewhere along the bottom here should be 1 more. And then, as I said, there's going to be a wiring harness here that we have to unplug, 2 over on this side here. And then this will just pull straight back towards us. All right, we have 4 screws out. Those are 4mm hex heads. And each of these, I'll zoom in a little bit, each of these has a metallic washer on them. So be careful as you're removing that to make sure that you have the washers. Minor challenge, I did find the last set of, there's 2. One right here where my finger is bouncing, and that's a 6mm hex. There's 1 on this side, 1 on the other side. Those are the last 2 bolts that have to come out. You can see I've got my carpet ready. The headlamp area bolts have come out just fine. There were 3 of those. Those are 6mm hex heads. And again, as a reminder, on the speaker, there was 1 here, that's a 4mm. And then in this pocket, in the upper left side on both, you can see the hole there, but on both sides, it's upper left on this side, on the left side of the bike, upper right on the right side of the bike. And those come out, and this is already, there's just a little bit of play. I could see it start to move already as we were getting ready. But since I'm going to take the outer fairing off, the debate now will be, do I also simultaneously upgrade that headlamp? So we're going to do some research. We have a stubby short set of hex heads coming tomorrow, so that I can get at those other 2. The problem I've got, my 6mm hex head on the ratchet is just too long, and there's just not a lot of room to work in that pocket. So we're going to get some stubbies, and those are arriving tomorrow, and we can finish taking the exterior fairing off so we can get at the horn assembly.